الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين أحمدك ربي واستعين بك واستهديك واستغفرك وأعوذ بالله من شر نفسي ومن سيئات عملي وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق والسداد. All praises are due to Allah, the one and only. I bear witness there is no God or deity worthy of worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one and only, the creator of the heavens, the earth, what's in them, what's between them, what's beyond them. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen that He has created us as Muslims. And peace and blessing be upon His messenger, the last messenger of humanity, the last messenger to the people that want to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, follow the direction that comes in the Quran and the Sunnah and the messenger of truth. With him there is guidance, away from his Sunnah there is no guidance. With him there is mercy, away from the Sunnah and his teaching and the Quran, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your mercy is very limited to this life. In the hereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have given every single one that has spent their money or their effort to benefit people without faith. He will give them back in this dunya. At the hereafter, they won't get what they're looking for, which is Jannah. Dear brothers, the difference between a Muslim and a non-Muslim is La ilaha illallah. That word, that La ilaha illallah, shahada la ilaha illallah, shahada anna Muhammad Rasulullah, I bear witness there is no deity or God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His messenger and servant. And then, iqam as-salah. The establishing of the prayer is the second thing that tells you that you are a true believer in Allah. من أقامها فقد أقام الدين. Whoever establishes salah, he has already raised up and erected the house of Islam in himself, in his household, in his family, and beyond. And the third one is zakah, the charity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked to be given to the poor and to the needy Muslims. So every single one in the society of Islam love one another. And some people say that so many poor Muslims, we cannot suffice all of them. And the history proves to us that we are wrong. The fifth Khalifa, Caliphate in Islam, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, at his time, he used to send the charity out for people and to see if there is any needy person in the Ummah. He has asked all the leaders of the countries and the states of the Islam to give the money away to the poor and needy. And the money came back. Nobody needed anything. So he calls on all of them again that every single one that has a debt, let him, the state will pay his debt. And he paid all of the debt, and the charity was in there. So he asked that every single young Muslim and Muslimah that want to get married, the state will pay for their wedding. And he married all those young men and women that wanted to get married, and still the zakah and the charity was plenty. So dear brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in our money, in our wealth, a certain percentage, which is the 2.5% for the needy and the poor. No matter how much taxes you pay, no matter how much capital gains or capital taxes are you paying, this goes from you, from your hard-earned halal money to the poor and needy. So never forget that. Remember, brothers, our contract with Allah is a contract for life. As when you get married in Islam, you understand that this is a marriage for life, and this should be your niyyah and your intention before you get to that marriage. So dear brothers, we have spoken of so many things that could make a life of a believer, man or woman, better. The first one, as we discussed last week, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. Whoever believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day, meaning the day of judgment, let him speak good or hold his speech. And this is the hardest thing that we all struggle with. That we want to have an input. We want to say something. We want to share our thoughts and our minds. And dear brothers, this is not the right way. The Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with them, they were all sitting down with the Prophet ﷺ. None of them spoke unless he was spoken to. And when they speak, they ask the Prophet if they can speak. And if the Prophet starts explaining things, or he has started teaching them something, none of them talks until the Prophet ﷺ finishes what he wanted to teach them. And this is amazing. Even the Prophet ﷺ, when he used to ask them a question, they stop and they think about it before they spoke. So they either need to speak good or they hold a speech. If they don't know the answer, they say Allah and His Messenger know best. So we understand that speech is one of the things that either bring people forward to Jannah or put them back, and they fall into the hellfire. So that's one hadith that we covered last week. The other hadith, من حسن إسلام المرء ترك ما لا يعنيه. So first thing, you mattress your tongue, your word, and your speed. The second one, the best thing about being a Muslim, a trait of a Muslim, is for him to not engage in the things that of no benefit to him. So if your brother or sister has bought something, did something that is good, inshallah, and everyone will be thinking about the good things, it should be what is called here in America, none of your business. So if it's not related to you, brother and sister, don't try to get involved in someone else's life, because it might make them stay away from you, make them angry, make them mad, make them not wanting to talk or speak to you. So this is one of the things that keep that relationship between you, brother to brother or sister to sister, good and strong. They understand that you have your own business, you mind your own business, and they will mind their own business. And the ulama, the scholars, used to say that if even every single one of us only minds his own business and try to improve himself or herself, he or she will not have time to look into any other Muslim business. And this is one thing that we have to learn. A very important thing and very important lesson. The third one that we covered last week was the Prophet ﷺ. A man came to him and he asked him, give me an advice, and he told him, don't get angry. And he kept on asking the Prophet, give me another advice, and the Prophet kept on answering him, don't get angry 3 times. And this is what we covered last week, is that don't get angry is to control yourself. How to be able to control your emotion. How to be able to control what you want to say, if you want to say it. And even at the height of anger, you can control yourself, because this is what the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned the strength is in. ليس القوي بالسرعة ولكن القوي من يتملك نفسه عند الغضب. It is not the person that puts someone else's down if they were fighting or wrestling, but the true strong person is the one that can control himself in anger. And another thing that will improve our life. So now you control your tongue, you control your emotion by not trying to peek or peer into anybody's business. You control yourself by not getting angry. And the last one is لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. No one will ever complete or achieve complete faith until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So this is men and women. The Prophet ﷺ doesn't differentiate between a man or a woman in Islam. So dear brothers, this is one thing. If you find your brother or sister that has bought something that is so nice, be happy for them. Be happy for them. That happiness for the other Muslim or Muslimah will return back to you. They will know, it will increase that relationship, that love between Muslims. They know, because the source is one. Allah is one, subhanahu wa ta'ala. If He has given one, your brother or a sister to a sister, something that you cannot afford at the time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of the heavens and the earth. He has all the treasures. It came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to really ask Allah. And if you're that happy that your brother or sister, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rewarded them with something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you with the same. Or something that will be beneficial for you. Sometimes you find someone that got something, blessings from Allah, and it's a great thing. It might not be great for you. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end of the ayahs of Siyam that He accepts dua from the people that make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the condition is فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. Let them obey me, come into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Islam, in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and let them believe in me. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not only the dispenser. He's not the cashier that will give you the money that you want at the time you want it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you ask Him with one intention, that you think in what you ask is the best for you and for your family. Sometimes it's true, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you what you're asking for. And sometimes that thing at that time that you're asking for is not good for you. And since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our sustainer and He is the all-knowing, He would not give you what you're asking for. Because if He has given you, brother or sister, that at the time you ask for it, it will be detrimental for you. And so the best thing for Allah to do for any one of us is sometimes when we make dua, and dua is for all good things, is not to give it to you. Because it's not good. It won't benefit you at that time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in store something that is of benefit to you, and it will come to you later. And how many of us that has lived and has asked so many things in life, and then later on in life you would have found yourself that if you have had that, Allah wouldn't have rewarded you with something else that you have right now. Go back into your memory. Go back to the time you asked Allah for things that you thought they were so good and incredibly indispensable in your life. And you'll find out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mercy was given to you so you don't lose your way to Allah. Allah's intention for every single one of us is to give him hidayah, to keep him on the straight, to put him on, to give him the truth, the hidayah, keep him or her on the straight path until they end the term, until they finish the contract, until the last word comes as La ilaha illallah. Remember the Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with them, every single one of them wished the good for his brother and his sister. And they defended oneself. And they defended their brothers and sisters. Love for your brother and sister what you love for yourself. If you want to be knowledgeable about Quran, wish that for every single Muslim. If you want to be wish that for every single Muslim. If you want to be healthy, wish that for every single Muslim. One thing that we learn too, that the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that whoever asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the believers and Muslim men and women, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the reward for every single believer and Muslim man and woman and put it in his or her book of deeds. So remember, brothers, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you truly believe in Him, every deed is equal to 2, and every 2 deeds are multiplied by 10. And if you were to want to increase your deeds, read the Quran. For every character, you get 10 good deeds. Remember, brothers and sisters, our mission in life is to live a better life. Our mission in life is to have a better relationship with our brothers and Muslims, with our spouses, with our children, with our neighbors, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslim. They have to see Islam in you. They have to recognize that you have the truth. And so many non-Muslims, when they see someone that doesn't drink, that doesn't go out, that doesn't go to the wrong places, the first thing they say about that man or woman, he must be a Muslim. He doesn't drink. He doesn't eat pork. So dear brothers, it is a trait now for every single person to know that. So remember, you are representing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. I'll make dua, say Ameen after me. Allahumma ighfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka qareebun mujibun sami'ud da'awat. Allahumma izz al-Islam wa ansur al-Muslimin. Allahumma a'li bifadlika kalimatay al-haqq wad-din. أقول رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم ما قضيت لنا من أمر فاجعل عاقبته رشدا وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين.